So as you can see in the text caption in front of you, how the afterlife mummification process was carried out. The living had a lot to do with the journey of the dead, and a lot of these ancient Egyptian practices, which lasted for about 2,500 years before they were abandoned. In these rites of passage, first Ba is summoned to the hall of truth, where several gods have gathered. Osiris, the god of the underworld, would likely be among them. The heart of the deceased is then placed on one end of the scale and a feather on the other end. In the company of various gods, Ba, who represents the essence of the former person, is required to recite the following lines. Only 3 of several are listed here. I have not done falsehood against man. I have done no evil. I have not impoverished my associates. The scale remains in perfect balance if Ba's affirmation of the lines is truthful, and a perfectly balanced scale is a prerequisite for the gods to allow Ba to direct Ka to the body they formerly occupied and thereby enter into the state of Ak. But if falsehoods are told, the heart becomes heavy and scale becomes imbalanced and resurrection is denied. So in this story, we can see that resurrection is the objective. And again, it all ties into the figure 8, which is the symbol of eternity. We cannot cease to exist, and there's no place you can go outside of existence, which is here on the earth plane. This is where existence takes place. This is the stage. For some reason, we want to go to other worlds that we create in our mind that we can't prove to exist. But for some reason, we just can't seem to get it together and start taking care of this world that we live in, because all of these foolish beliefs got us looking for worlds outside of this one, so our kids are left to inherit a less likable earth as a result of our foolish beliefs. We don't like to deal with reality. So the ancients dealt with reality. They dealt with resurrection, reincarnation. Understand that these two words both have something in common, and that they both have the RE root. RE is re, dealing with repetition, resurrection, reincarnation, revival, renewal. That's what makes us infinite. And we got to start re-perceiving our reality. So we got to get a grip on reality, guys. So now we're going to deal with some ancient Greece afterlife beliefs. And I'm going to blow you guys away with some of these ancient Greece beliefs. They're not too different from a lot of the ancient Egyptian ones previously, because we got to understand that there is a relation between Greece and Egyptian during a lot of those blending periods when the Greeks had came over. But I won't get into that in this video. We all should be aware of that. To stay on subject, this is some very interesting stuff we're about to get into with ancient Greece afterlife beliefs. So, although traces of ancient Egyptian religion are apparent in some modern day beliefs, such as the final judgment of the soul, Western ideas were more influenced by ancient Greek thinking than by the lore of ancient Egyptians. We begin with the Greek poet Homer, author of the Iliad and the Odyssey in the 8th century BCE. Some afterlife beliefs presumably coming to that time period in Greece can be extracted from these epic stories. The Greek word associated with the soul was psyche, a word linked with the word psychein, meaning to blow or breathe. Psyche is breathed into the body at birth and breathed out at death. But note that psyche that is breathed out at death is not to be confused with Ba or Ka that depart from the mouth and have a shot at resurrection in Egyptian mythology. The Greek psyche, or the Greek soul of Homer's era, travels directly to Hades, where it exists as a shade. So if you look at the word shade and shadow can be used interchangeably. The word shade and shadow represent the same concept. And in this Greek story of the afterlife, everyone's soul or psyche, as they call it in ancient Greece, travels to Hades, where it exists as a shade. And if you look at the word shade, if you subtract the S off of shade, you will be left with the word Hades or Haiti, because the word shade and the word Hades are related. Basically, the shade is the shadow that go to Sade or Hades. Now, in a lot of my videos, I go into the cosmic journey and how the soul transitions, which is very simple. I recommend you guys explore the channel. Right now, I'm giving you some ancient afterlife beliefs in time periods that were corrupted. So understand that the ancient Greece here were very corrupted, and they had a society that was quite evil indeed, based upon all of these corrupted beliefs. So like I mentioned in the previous videos, beliefs can be very dangerous. What a society believes manifests itself in that society's reality. So you can see that ancient Greece had a very wicked society for many years. There was not many righteous points in Greece history. And you can see that their beliefs were quite dull and shady, as we are reading here. So in these ancient Greece afterlife beliefs, Hades was the common dumping ground for the righteous, the wicked, the kind-hearted, and the scoundrel. No matter how good you were or how bad you were, during this time in ancient Greece, in their afterlife beliefs, everyone went to Hades. So no matter what kind of person you was, good or bad, you all ended up in Hades in Greece society. When I tell you that, you probably say that's kind of dumb, that's foolish. Why would you have that kind of belief? But when you think about it, it's the exact same belief we have today. When you look at one of the most dominant religions, which is Christianity, it teaches that no matter what kind of person you are, for example, if you're in the church, you can still do wrong. But if you ask for forgiveness, if you accept Christ as your Lord and Savior, you will be forgiven and you will go to the same heaven that righteous people who done no wrong at all. You will be in that same heaven with rehabilitated murderers and kidnappers. And now don't get me wrong, everyone deserves a second chance. But what we see as a result of these kind of beliefs is a world that's not balanced, where wickedness dominates, because these beliefs are dangerous. They don't have balance. They don't teach the true law of nature. In nature, there is forgiveness, but there's always correction. There's always a lesson with every mistake. So when you go to pick a rose, even though the rose is beautiful, the thorn will stick your hand. You will learn a lesson that there's balance in all things. So what am I saying here is that water is very good. Water is the life-giving substance, but you still can drown from too much water. There's always balance. So what I mean here is that with these dangerous beliefs, you teach a person that no matter what they do before they die, if they accept Jesus, they're okay. Then most human beings are going to live it up. And then when they grow old, they're going to join the church. And that's exactly what we see in the society. We see a bunch of people who live the way they want to live when they're young, and they grow old and then join the church. Now, there's a lot of people that grow up in the church and they're church kids. But my basic point here is that the concept of these world religions creates the world we see today, where wickedness prevail, because the true law of nature is balance, and that law is karma, which teaches what goes around comes around. So humans forgive, but nature teaches. Humans forgive, but nature teaches. If you were in the jungle and a viper bit you, it don't matter if you meditate every day, okay? The poison from that snake, which is from nature and is a beautiful animal, is going to kill you. Nature teaches a lesson. And understand that a lot of our early ancestors carved the way for most of the knowledge that we have today, because they learned by firsthand experience with nature. So our ancestors were those conquerors in the jungle. They were the Tarzan movies that you go to watch in the theaters and spend all your money to see. Our ancestors had a one-on-one, face-to-face connection with nature, where they were experiencing the ups and downs of the journey of being a human and trying to understand existence and become back one with the all. Because the all is a scientist. The all is the supreme scientist, the source. And we are all expressions of that all in the flesh, experiencing its own creation as the master scientist. And it's experiencing this creation through us all in different ways and different personalities and different manifestations. So I get deep into that in a lot of videos. Again, explore the channel. But our beliefs are very important. In particular, the belief that deals with what one thinks is going to happen to their soul is very important, because you plan your life accordingly. In a lot of these religions, you see that they tell you their deities can show up at any given time and shut everything down. So you have a world where a lot of humans don't really plan for the future like the ancestors did, who were connected with nature and agriculture. They had to plan for the future in order to plant crops correctly. Today we go to supermarkets, we're disconnected from nature. So what happens is we're disconnected from planning for the future, and you create this YOLO mindset where I can die any minute, Jesus can come back at any minute, so why plan, live it up, and hopefully I can grow old, and before I grow old, I'll just accept my way into the church, pay my tithes, and everything will be okay, even if I raped 100 women and killed 10,000 newborn babies. If Jesus said my heart is clean and a pastor say it's clean, it's clean. So this doesn't produce a reality that creates good people. It promises all of these bad people that they're gonna somehow be perfected, when really the whole idea of these doctrines is to create a world of chaos. And what you will notice is the people have more of a connection to imaginary gods than they have with themselves. So like I was telling you, all of these ancient afterlife stories that our ancient ancestors created to produce better humans and to create a world where we became one with nature and one with the source, they were corrupted to create the world you see today. And they were used for control purposes. So you can see how all of this started here in these ancient Greece beliefs that I'm reading to you. In a lot of ancient Greece afterlife beliefs, the people that went to the ancient Greece good life, or the good part of this Hades. So if you're looking at the caption in front of you, it just describes the Isles of Bless. Please read over it, because in this ancient Greece beliefs, it reveals what I'm trying to convey to you here, that they corrupted a lot of the ancient beliefs for control purposes. So you would notice in this Isles of Bless that the good part of the Greece afterlife, the part where I guess you worked in a shadow and where you actually had some decent form of an afterlife, they taught that the good life was only available to the heroes who were killed in combat, and particularly in combat in the wars at Thebes and Troy. So you can see how they even tied in military propaganda into some of their ancient afterlife beliefs. This is sick, people. People live their whole lives and they're taught this since a child, so it becomes their reality. They believe in these afterlives. They believe in these places where their soul is going to exist in the afterlife. We can't prove it. And at the root of all of this deception is an agenda to get you to operate a certain way your entire life, by saying this will happen to you or that will happen to you when you die. And if you accept the belief, you will be ruled your entire life. And that is kind of a hell in itself. That really is what hell is, if you ask me. So you will see here in ancient Greece, they taught that if you were killed in war, if you went to combat and served in the military, you get to go to heaven. But so instead of actually dying in the fields of battle and ending up as shadows in Hades, these heroes earned immortality by being transported body and soul. Although a distinction between the two had not yet been made, they were transported body and soul again to the Isle of Bless, this heavenly abode for these soldiers. And you can see this same concept in Norse cosmology. I have a video on Norse cosmology where I go into their afterlife beliefs as well as their cosmology. And you can see where there was a time period where everyone was using religion as a form of propaganda and corrupting ancient science to produce human cattle. So we can see some of these same practices in a lot of the corrupted forms of Islam that they're using in the jihadist groups and everything, that teach you if you kill yourself as a suicide bomber and all of that, you get 20 wives and 20 American slaves and all of that crap. So you can see how the same thing is still happening today, and we still sleep. We need to wake up. They still governing us based on these foolish beliefs. They're still got us think we're fighting for righteous causes based upon the beliefs they teach us at birth. They're ruling our whole lives with this deception. So we can see that these ancient afterlife beliefs were corrupted because they were not a bad recruiting tool for ancient armed services.